All right. Hello, folks. Welcome to episode 28, Pairing Stream, where Mike and I are working on his Song Themes app. Welcome, everyone. How's it going, Mike?
Doing well, doing well. So I will give you and the viewers a heads up that I might be taking a lot of bio breaks today.
So, where did we leave off last time? I remember we had a failing test.
Yeah.
You want to jump right into the code?
Sure. Did you want to riff on anything beforehand?
I don't think so.
So we're working on high level requiring the header rows to have specific columns. And then we're currently handling here on Jira 81, handle multiple themes.
Oh, I was looking through Jira and just looking back at some of the earlier stuff. Jira 60 we actually did the other day, which was split the result class into two concrete
Oh, right. Nice.
So we can check that.
Dopamine.
Yes.
Anything else we missed that we?
Nothing that was obvious.
Okay, cool.
Well, 42, but that was on you. Installing the tab shifter plugin.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's definitely some stuff I got to do. Yeah. Funny that it's 42.
Yeah. So last time we fixed some failure messages, and so finally split the result class, and I think we're much happier with the result class. There's more we can do, and we'll probably see some of the awkwardness there, but I think it'll be okay. Hey, yeah. Sweegie, nice to see you.
Hey, Sweegie. Yeah, we can just in time it as the awkwardness becomes annoying. We can tackle it.
Yeah, and we can decide how much we want to do. So today I gave 50-50 odds for whether we'd get to persisting to the database. So we'll see what happens. So place your bets.
Okay. I guess we need to create a betting app now.
Yes, let's go and do that. Hey, Trappa.
Let's yak shave this.
Yes.
9 levels deep.
So did we run the test? I didn't see.
I did.
Okay.
And
yes, I see. We got a failure.
Is the
right,
which is in the TSV song parser test. I think did it fail because we're still starting it, or did it say failure when missing a theme? Theme 1. Oh,
right, because we're not checking checking that stuff. So this is proper TDD. We've got behavior that we'd like in terms of failures. And so we need to go and implement that. Oh, if you go back to the result class, we had something commented out for permits. And there's some weirdness with how permits works and sealed in permits. There might be a better way to do this, but I have to do some more experimenting. So we can probably just delete that comment for now.
Do we want to add the research to our Jira?
No, because that's something that I'm just going to do.
Okay.
Because there's some interesting stuff you can do with interfaces and sealed, and I'm not sure if it's the right fit for what we need. But I did some playing around because I was like, why isn't that working? Do you want to combine 7 and 8?
Yes, I don't know how it got like that. That's weird.
Because we added the comment. That's why it got split.
Yeah.
So
otherwise, pretty clean.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with where the result is right now. One thing we could do, although because we have our custom result assert, it's not as necessary, but a lot of the implementations I was looking at for a result, they implement both is success and is failure, which I guess kind of makes sense. It kind of makes it easier. Even though one is the opposite of the other, it means you would never need to put a bang in front of it in some kind of if statement.
So in other words, pushing it down to the concrete classes as a...
Yeah, and basically let them do the inversion to make it easy on clients to not have to call one or the other. Like basically our current case, which is we're expecting that it fails. We get around that because we're using our custom assert, and so
Right.
that makes it easier. But I know there's at the string level we have a couple of we didn't generify our result,
String side. Yeah.
so that one we're doing directly. So maybe if we see it again, we'll probably implement it.
Yeah.
Is what I say.
Okay. Sounds good.
Let me just answer a couple of questions. So Trap asks, what's the testing dependency they're using to test with? So we're using JUnit for the standard test runner, but for our assertions, the assertion library we're using is AssertJ. So AssertJ is a very popular library. Spring uses it. I've been using it. I contributed to it way back when, so highly recommended. So AssertJ. You actually go to assertj.com. They actually lost some time back. So if you look at the import, why don't you scroll up to the imports? Oh, and we don't even see it here because we're using our custom one. Why don't you switch to
Right.
a different test class like that one? Yeah. Yeah. So assertj.org, they lost that domain.
Really?
Yeah. So so I actually bought assertj.com, which redirects you to the right place, but they lost that, which is unfortunate.
Oh, wow.
And Sweetie asks, yes, we did that last time. You missed it I guess you missed it. We split the result into two inner subclasses. That works much nicer. And hey there, Dodo to Attitude, also cooking. All right. All right. So let's go back. Let's go to our failing test just to remind us of what we're doing. And so we're basically saying, since this doesn't have theme as a required, we need to fail. So yeah, so let's go look at our implementation of parsong. And so we can see where we have the extract themes, we're not doing anything.
Right.
So let's, oh yeah, I remember this was
Yeah.
not straightforward.
Right.
Hey, Phil Nuffle, welcome. So what's the simplest thing we can do? I think we had come up with the idea of checking for the required. No, we were validating the column matching first. And then we go, so we pulled that out because that was previously inside an extract column, and that made no sense. So I think extract themes, we've got to return. What
A
do we want
result.
to? Well, let's go back and look at extract themes again. Right. So because on line 67 we're doing a filter, we're actually throwing away our any failures to extract the theme.
Mm.
Um,
And because it's a stream, we can't like go through it multiple times.
yeah, we'd have to. This is where you can sort of get more functional, and you can sort of collect. And I think we've done this a bit before. We could sort of map it to. I feel like we've had this. It's funny. It's like I feel like we've had this discussion of how we were going to do it, and I don't remember what the result was.
Yeah, I remember we did too.
So we could map, sort of group by the failure and the not failure. But I think that's too hard, or it's too complicated. I say we do the simplest thing that could possibly work, even if it's ugly, just to get this test to pass, which would be repeat the extract column for the first for theme 1? Because if theme 1 is there, right? So let's be clear about our expectations. So if theme 1 is there,
Then we have,
then we're okay.
right. So if theme 1's not there, then it's a definite failure.
Right. And I think we decided that if theme 2 is there, but theme 1 is not there, that's not good.
Right. But the minimum was theme 1.
Right. So let's implement that requirement. So let's squeeze it in between 64 and 65.
So if we get the stream, how do we do it without consuming the stream? Can we just?
Well, we're creating the stream on 66. We have this. We know exactly what we're just going to check theme 1 directly.
Okay. So we could just do like column mapper dot extract.
Yeah.
Column and still use columns.
Yeah.
Comma. Now we're just doing it for list of theme 1.
Well, it's
Like
not a list of, it is literally just theme 1.
So just theme 1.
Yeah.
And then what is that going to be?
That's going to be a result of string. Yeah.
Can we use result here? I guess we can.
Sure.
And then we do.
So right now, here's where we'd love to have is failure.
Right.
So how about we just implement that just right now? Let's put this on hold.
Okay. As in that way?
Yeah, that's fine. And let's go to result and just implement it.
Without test driving it first?
I don't think we need to test drive this.
Okay.
We're basically test driving. Do we have an is failure method that returns Boolean that returns the correct thing? And I think we can use our professional judgment.
Yeah, so we're going to do this within not the abstract base class, but in the.
We want to do it in the abstract base class.
We do.
Yes, but I think we have all the methods at the bottom, which I think we should bring to the top. Those abstract methods at the bottom, 71 and following.
Okay. I don't remember why we put them at the bottom. There was some rationale at the time, but I forgot what it was.
I think we should put them below the statics, but above the actual implementations. I thought we'd actually moved it, but I guess we didn't. So you want to put it like 24.
Okay.
So after the static creation methods, but before the implementations. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And now let's add an is failure method. And this we could actually just implement at the base class because it's just going to be the opposite of is success.
Oh.
Right? It's not going to be different for one or the other.
No. So it would be Boolean is failure.
We got to write that in the right place.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, and then just return that.
And
yeah, full that would be the grouping by collector if we decided to do that, but I don't think we're going to do that. Yeah, so now that we have that method, I'm pretty sure that we can eyeball that and be confident that it works. And we'll sort of indirectly be testing that here.
So we're doing a fail and bail here.
Yeah.
And then do we return? We're doing a return.
Yeah. So we're going to have to
convert extract themes to return a result of a list of strings.
I wonder if we should, to avoid having to make those changes now, take the code we just wrote and put it in the caller.
This part.
Yeah. And so basically put it at 49.5.
You want to do a guard clause there? Really? Oh, we got a result.
Well, it's
already.
not going to be a guard clause. It's going to be a choice. So we're going to do, if it's a failure, we're going to do one thing. So in fact, actually,
Oh,
we're only going to do the themes if it's a success, right?
oh, got it.
But for now, we'll basically no, let's do is failure and then just do a return, even
What
though
are we?
that's not fully what we
What we
want.
our song returns a result object. It's not going to be happy. So we'll have to give it a result failure.
Yes, we will have to. So basically, what we have on line, I don't know, 60-ish. Yeah, so something like what we have on 66.
Oh, but we haven't started collecting them, but we will use.
Well, we're just going to use the one that came right here.
Got it. Oh, actually, haha. Got to use the right result. And what did I do wrong? Result dot
It should be dot failure.
failure. And then this will be theme one result dot failure messages.
Right.
Now
So
it'd be good.
this is ugly, but it should get us to
Green.
to green. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's find out.
And we could probably flip 42 as well once we get the test passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to pass.
So let's commit.
Good idea. Well, we got this to pass.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we refactor.
So let's fix 42 since we now have his failure. We can swap that.
And when you say swap, meaning
Yeah,
like
exactly
that.
what you did. Yes.
Okay.
Flip, I guess.
Right.
So let's run our
Because
test
at
just to
that
make sure.
point, yeah, because at that point, there's no use trying to extract columns, the other columns, because it's a dead row. It's a dead song row because we're parsing a single song here.
Right.
Right. Which means we can't do anything. So it's okay that we're doing it before we do.
Right.
We don't need to collect the failure messages here because that's for the extract column failures. Is that right? I think so.
So let's I think we can ratchet up our
Guess where I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Back in a minute.
So Sweegie mentions we could try something like map take while. Yeah, the thing is, if we do that, we lose the failure messages that come from the extract column. So extract column does its own validation. And so if we do the mapping, I don't know what we'd end up with actually. Because if we're only taking while it's a success, I don't know, that doesn't feel as clean. And I think there's some other stuff we could do. That the result class could be a bit more So there are result class implementations that do a lot more about handling this kind of thing with combinations, where you basically can stream through all of the results and combine them. So you map them. You would map the extract column, you get out of that a result, and then you could combine all the results. And what you'd end up with is if any result combines with failure, all you get out is just a failure. Uh, so that might be something we try. Yeah, we were just trying to get the green. Full asks if we had to start from scratch, would we offer a custom CSV writer? So first of all, we're not doing CSV, we're doing TSV. Second of all, if we use the library, we would still have to do this kind of validation because the stuff we're dealing with here is about what's required in our data. What columns do we require? Which ones are optional? And maybe a library has that functionality, but there's also, even though we may not implement that anytime soon, there's also a dependent column. Like if you have release type, you must have the other one, release title, or the other way around. Anyway, there's a dependent column where it's like if you have one, you have to have this other one. So I don't know if any libraries do a good job of that. But I don't know, maybe. Or maybe we take our library and generalize it. I mean, it's really interesting because like the actual parsing is trivial. It's one line of code, like parsing and separating the columns. It's all the rest of the stuff of dealing with validation that's actually what we're dealing with. So I don't know if anybody wants to do some research on the available TSV parsers and see if they offer that kind of stuff. I suspect there are some that probably do have something like that, but who knows? All right.
I'm going to rerun the test just to make sure that we are green. Yep, we're green. Cool.
So
we're going to ratchet this up.
Or
is this failure good enough? Do we need to?
I'd like to see the message because one of the things that we'll want to do is ensure that if it's missing like song title and it's missing theme one, that we get both of those.
Do we do a contains exactly?
What's our options from this point?
It doesn't look like we have much. It looks like it's all
results. We've got messages. Is that not clear? Should we call that failure messages?
Oh.
Because what it returns is failure messages.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. I think we should.
So let's do a rename on that. And we could do a rename on values if we feel that that's unclear and call it success values. Yeah, and that's the one we'll eventually have to generify. Maybe. Okay. Let's go back to our test. Let's do just a commit of the rename.
What do you think? Some result properties? Specific. I mean, it's like they could check by looking at the diff.
I just say did a rename in the result assert.
Great.
All right, so now we know it's failure messages. Yeah, so now we do failure messages, and then we can go ahead and do a dot contains exactly.
And then we do a characterization test.
Yeah, I think here we can do a characterization. So we expect the only failure is about the missing theme one. So that's what we
It
expect.
never got to. Well, the other columns were fine. But even if they were wrong, it wouldn't.
Yeah. Yep. You could do the diff if you want, but you're either way.
Yeah. And then if we do this paste, will it do the escape correctly?
It should, unless you didn't copy the right thing.
Oh, the green was showing the difference, not
yeah, it's green, not yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it escaped it correctly.
Yep.
So now it should pass.
Now it should pass, assuming we pasted it correctly. Yes.
Cool.
All right, so I think we can just commit that and say added check for failure message. So now I think we want to look at do we combine multiple failure messages for multiple missing required columns? I think we have a test for that. If you open up the nested parse single song test at the bottom. So we've got 2 failure messages when missing 2 required columns. We could modify that one to basically make it multiple failure messages when missing multiple required columns.
The bottom one, or
yeah, the bottom one, because that's the sort of the many.
Oh, but then we'd be, well, I guess we could be passing in nothing.
Well, we can pass in a column that's not a required column.
Right.
So let's do that. Let's rename it to just say multiple failure messages when missing.
And keep it 2 or make it?
Well, it's going to be more than missing 2.
So just required columns. Missing all required columns? Because right now there's 3.
Sure.
And then
don't forget
header
to hit
column is not.
Don't forget to hit enter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man. I hit enter the wrong way. Okay. Multiple.
By the way, for tests, I know it's a habit, and you may not want to.
Yeah, you don't need to do the F.
You don't need to do the rename. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a habit. Multiple failure messages when missing all required columns. Yeah. And then one column that's not required is notes.
Right. You can say no notes.
Sure. Or I could just say something like written by correct. So now this should fail because we're missing.
Yeah, let's change line 220 to be 3, but we'll leave the rest as a characterization test.
Right. Well, this one, what's really because we should.
This will probably fail.
Right, but not just a characterization test. It's going to probably just say missing theme 1 column, and that's it.
How about we comment out this thing so we can see exactly what we get is not what we want. So we expect this to fail because we're only going to, sorry, comment out line 220.
220. Okay. Got it.
So we expect.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
We expect it to return a single message having to do with the missing theme.
Because it never even made it to the artist and song title.
Yeah.
Shift F10 would be easier, better.
Right. Right. So we got missing required column theme 1, and we're missing the artist and song title ones, which is right. exactly what we expected. So that's good. Our code does exactly what we thought it did.
Expected. Yep. Now, is it what we want it to do?
Yeah, it's not what we want it to do.
Yeah.
So let's. So
do we want it to actually have?
Yeah, I think we should add that now. Now that we've seen
add this.
Yeah, be careful about your double quotes.
Yep, I think I'll do it. Let's see if I can do it this way and get it right.
But you pasted one too many. That's why I was saying be careful.
Thought it was. Oh, from down below. I see.
Yeah.
The copy. There we go. Now
we could change our messages to make our lives easier and just use single quotes.
Oh.
But now is probably not the time to do that.
No. Oh, wait, if I could do the Control Shift O.
Alt Control L.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about reformat.
L. Yeah. There we go. That's better.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's going to fail again.
Right, and now it's going to fail because it found the theme 1 but didn't find the artist and song title.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
All right. So let's make it work.
Let's see. So we've got. Should we put the has size back in or wait till we get this working first? Probably wait.
We can put, I mean, we might even delete it. I'm not even sure it's necessary anymore. But it'll be a lot more.
I kind of like it to make it clear that it's 3. I mean, you could mentally parse this and go, yeah, that's 3 entries.
I think we should leave it commented out. We can then add it back.
Yeah. Okay. So as far as making it work, so now we need to accumulate the failures, not do a fail and bail here.
So that's not the failure. That's not the failure we need to worry about. We need to worry about the 53.
Oh.
I think we can just move this to basically to 57.
Oh, let me see what 57 is. After the extract themes.
So 57 is basically, we want to say if they're all the ones that we care about are successful. So we would need to add in our theme 1 result.
Theme 1 result, right? So it'd be like this.
Yeah, the second item. Yep.
And then for the failure message, though, will that?
Then we can.
Success is fine.
Then we can just dupe 65 and pull it from the theme 1 result.
Dupe 65. Oh, I see. Yep. Yeah, what I like about this, what you just did, is I was mentally going, how can we move this code down?
Right.
Whereas you stepped back and went, well, what do we need the code down here to do, rather than my mental model of trying to keep this that we just wrote that was working. Right?
Yeah, now we can delete that
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm just noticing my own mental behavior
Yeah.
and where that went. So now this should work.
It should work.
Yeah.
Some tests might fail if there were, but I guess not. I was just thinking if we added uh, basically a Boolean to 54 that could have affected other ones, but
Mm.
since it was testing for success, then that actually would have been surprising.
That's a good place for that.
So this is ugly,
Yeah, it's a
but
big
it
ugly
works.
method.
But
Yeah.
it works. If you want to put the has size of 3 back, you can, and then we'll commit.
Okay.
So due to attitude mentions, when pairing, I do navigator wins all decisions until driver calls a huddle. When pairing, I tend to not to be that strict. I tend to be much more
Fluid.
much more active as a driver because it's only 2 of you.
Right.
In an ensemble, that's different. Then because otherwise you can get into a multi-way discussion when it really should be the navigator wins.
Which is interesting was at the software teaming conference last week,
Mhm.
Woody was saying the opposite, that once the team gets mature enough, it's okay to have those
Yes.
multi-way discussions.
Yes. That's absolutely true. That
Yeah.
once teams do get used to ensembling and you are no longer worried about somebody dominating the
Right.
conversation, then you can start relaxing that. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, I don't know if I'd use the word over engineering, Sweetie. It's more like too many, too much, just too much code.
as far as the method goes. Yeah, that's a big method. Dang. So commit message. We now accumulate
Yeah,
all failure messages.
yeah, for all missing column failure messages, all missing required column failure messages.
And I'm going to take another break once I hit commit.
Good, because there was a question that I wanted to address. So.
Oh, cool. I'll keep my headset on so I can listen, but turn the mic off.
Right. So Tukes, hey Tukes. I think of post layoffs period mid 2024 in general. Our industry will not be the same. I think we've got two problems from an employee standpoint, which is one is companies decided they wanted more profit. Generally large public companies, but also so large public companies want more profit because they want their stock price to go up, regardless of whether firing people and laying people off is a good thing or not. It is perceived by investors as being a good thing. Secondly, startups, because we are no longer in a zero interest rate policy environment and will likely not be in one for the foreseeable future, money is no longer free, which means they actually have to make money. And so startups have also and will continue to fire people because they hired too much, and they can't effectively use those people. So we're still seeing that. The number of layoffs, sort of, if you look at how many layoffs now, in the past month or so versus a year ago, it's less, but we're still seeing it. There are other companies in the world other than tech companies and startups, so those are still hiring, but there are now a lot more people looking for jobs. I don't think it's any different for Java devs than anything else. In fact, it might even be better than for Java devs because startups generally don't use Java, right or wrong. They generally don't use Java, and so they weren't hiring them anyway. And the companies that do use Java tend to be the larger, older, more stable companies, especially financial firms, and they've generally done pretty well. whether or not you want to work for them is a separate issue. Then there's AI, which at least people think that means they don't need developers. But so sort of speaking of legacy code, um, AI is going to be great for generating legacy code right off the bat because it's terrible, 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 terrible. I mean, it's just so awful. I was talking with somebody about yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to go on that rant because we've been there before. But basically, there is a perception that AI can replace developers. True or not, perception is what matters, not reality. And so, therefore, companies are thinking they can get away with fewer. So I don't. I think it's going to be, if we're lucky, the latter part of this year, but probably won't be until beginning of next year, before things start to sort of get back on the upswing. Is sort of my completely gut-based intuition prediction, and we all know how well those work. Oh, gold plate in the result class. Well, we're probably going to do something to add to the result class. Yeah, can definitely over. I mean, this is why we didn't adopt an existing result class, is because some of the sort of ones that I've seen, they do a lot, and it's a lot of code that I don't even necessarily fully understand what it's trying to do. And so I'm uncomfortable taking on that code. Not to mention that taking on a library dependency for just what's basically one or a couple of classes in one file feels wrong. So, oh, and there was another question. Fulnalpha asks about JQ Assistant ensuring the rules of hexagonal architecture. That's what we use ArcUnit for. ArcUnit, which just came out with 1.3, makes that possible. I haven't used JQ Assistant directly. I'm not sure what benefits it would have. ArcUnit's API is interesting. Not obvious, and the documentation could be better, but it does pretty much everything that I want. We don't have it in this project yet, because we don't have that many layers. We don't. Once we add the database, we'll probably want to do that pretty quickly after. So are we? I think we're not done, because I think we should be doing some refactoring here.
Yeah.
For our song parser.
Going back to song parser, yep. The one that made Sweegie. I don't know if quiver is the right word, but.
Oh, I think Sweegie was talking about the result class, not
oh, I see. Not the parson. Well, it certainly making my spidey sense go, this thing is huge.
Well, okay. I mean, if nothing else, I don't even think it can fit on the screen anymore.
I know. Look,
unless you completely maximize it, and then it just barely fits. So it's clearly, yes, it's clearly a problem.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts?
Collect this into a map, maybe? I mean, a lot of this you can't extract into methods particularly easily. This, well, it's kind of passing a lot though.
So I think the the problem with our result is we have no easy way to combine them. Because what we'd like, and you sort of mentioned an aspect of it, if everything works, what we might like is a map of column names to values. Because then it would In fact, then we might even be able to just hand that into Song and let it figure it out. If not, then it's pretty easy to pull it out one by one, which is what we're kind of doing on line 56, 55 through 58.
Right.
But that's if we get all success. If we get any failures, we'd like to basically what we want to do, and this is why other result classes have this idea of a combine, where you just take any two results and you combine them, and what you get out is, if one of them is a failure, the result is a failure. The outcome of the combination is a failure. If they're both successes, then you get the combination of them. But we don't have a good way to combine successes either, because we just have this result of string. So, so if you go back to the song parser, right? So like line 46, what we get out of that is a result of string. And by itself, that's not enough information if we wanted to later create a map.
Yeah, because we don't know its artist. We just know
Exactly.
it's the result of the string.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hey, Dudeman. Yeah, so it's not just architecture stuff. So I actually wrote a specific constraint check that makes sure that only, for example, the repository class can call a specific method on a domain object for reconstituting it. Because as we'll see, if we get to database stuff, we're going to have to pull stuff from a database and reconstitute the object. But the only, so that needs to be some kind of constructor, or maybe it's a static factory method. So it has to be accessible from the repository, but they're in two separate packages, so therefore it has to be public. Except you don't want that method, that reconstitute method, called by anybody else. It's meant specifically for the repository. And so I basically wrote one that basically checks that if you have this reconstitute method that's called by anything else besides a repository, it would blow up. That was not as straightforward as I thought it would be. Or I guess it was about as straightforward as I thought it would be, which is to say, not very straightforward. So if we had our extract column that returned a result not of string, but of what's basically a map entry.
Right.
I guess it could be a map. It would be a trivial.
I mean, you're talking about a key value pair. When you say map entry, that's what you mean.
Yeah, so map.entry is actually literally a key value pair.
Oh, interesting. Map.entry.
But if we returned a map, that would be easier to combine.
Could we pass the map into the next one?
Yeah,
so then it could just add to it. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, so the idea would be we'd stream over our headers, and at every step along the way, as part of the map, we would basically do a combine. So we'd sort of do this accumulator of right, it would operate on artists and it would return a result of a map, and then we'd combine that with song titles results, and we get another result map, and keep doing that back and forth. And what we would end up with is a result of a map of string to string. And if they were failures, then it would just, that result would be a failure. If there are successes, then we'd have that, then that map would be our valid values. The larger question is, do we want to do that?
It does seem like a lot of work.
It's
maybe a lot is too strong.
It's not a lot of work. But
does it bias?
It would totally clean up this entire method.
Right.
We would get rid of
the duplication of 46 to 49.
More than that. We would get rid of most of 46 through the end of the method, because it would accumulate our failures as well.
Well, right.
So we'd get rid of 46 through 53. And then our 54 check would just be a check against the accumulated result.
Right.
And we would just return a success or a failure of a result that takes a song. So it's really more a question of, do we want to spend our time on stream to do that, or do we want to
Right.
get to something else? And I could do this, separately.
Right. Right.
Oh, and I just want to
Sorry.
say,
Go ahead.
Dota to Attitude, I just noticed your resubscription for 31 months. So thank you so much.
Wow. Awesome.
So
So punt on it for now.
I kind of feel like uh, it would take us a bit afield and might, I mean, it's not hard. It's just going to take some time to figure out the nuances of how to do the stream with the combine and what the combine looks like. And I think we can just defer that.
Should we add it in our queue so we don't forget?
Yeah, let's add it. Let's add it.
What are we
So
under anyway? Skip over unused columns
yeah, I think we could just pull that into a separate.
at that level.
Yeah.
I'll move it down. But what are we going to call it?
I think it's create result combinator to help refactor parse song. Nice emphasis on huge.
But it's not easy duplication to fix. It's got a lot of duplication, but
Yeah, yeah.
that's what makes it interesting. We're almost at the 1 hour point, and I'm getting pretty close to needing a break anyway. So apologies to everyone on the stream. We have lots of breaks going on.
Yeah, we could take a break now.
Okay. Unless you wanted to, I could talk for another minute or two if you had something you wanted to riff on.
Well, I think now, if we're saying that we're going to punt on that, I think we can say handle. Do we handle multiple themes? I think. Because I don't think that was handle multiple themes. I think that was handle theme missing. Because we must have had successful parsing for themes. Yeah, parse all for song with only one theme has one theme. That's the second one up top.
Up here, yeah.
So I think that's done. And I think pretty much 77 is done, other than release type, which we said we're going to punt on.
Looks like we moved release type as a sibling.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So if we want to punt on that, then I think the next thing is database, and we'll have to figure out what we want from that. So take a break, and then we'll figure out what we want from that.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's just Jira.
Yeah.
I need to commit for Jira. I don't commit Jira. I don't commit to Jira.
Right. All right. So we'll take a short break, and when we come back, for those of you who placed wagers on that we will do persistence today, you win. So go collect your bets. Otherwise, we'll see you in a few minutes, and yeah, see you in a few minutes.
Great.
So missed this question earlier. Suiji asked, we have results for optional columns where we ignore the failures. Yes. So the column, if it's not required and it's not there, the result is success, but an empty string. And so that way, when we create the song, it just accepts an empty string for that parameter. So that works out nicely. And just as a reminder, if you're not already a member of the Discord's a great place, great community for Java and any developer really who's interested in the kind of stuff we do here on stream, the kind of stuff I do on my solo streams. So that's testing, test-driven development, orthogonal architecture, architecture and design in general, domain-driven design, all those kinds of things. We got channels for just about everything you might be interested in, including XP, extreme programming practices, all that kind of stuff. So join the Discord and just go to ted.dev/discord, and you can join up. We do have a book club. I think we're on chapter 8, but I think this is the kind of book where you can never really join late. So we're reading through the programmer's brain, and we're currently looking at the naming chapter. So it's not too late to join. You don't feel like you have to catch up and read everything. You can do that as your leisure. Just do the current reading, and you can join. And don't feel like you have to be active. You can just join us. We meet on Zoom for a couple of hours every Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon Pacific Daylight Time, which is, what is it now? +7, so 5 p.m. UTC. And don't feel like you have to join everyone, but you're certainly welcome to, even though we're already into the book. Don't feel like you can't join, because it's, as I said, it's never too late to join. And you may be familiar with my test-driven development game. And so this is basically a picture of some folks playing the game. The game is fun to play, but also really useful for fostering discussion around test-driven development. And it's very much centered around the idea of predictive test-driven development. That's one of the sort of the driving forces of the game. You can play it solo, or you can play it with a couple people, or you can play it with up to 6 people. And what's interesting is there's a couple of different variations that you can play. I'm about to update the rules manual to add a bunch of those variations. And so there's some really interesting aspects to that. So if you go to tdd.cards, you can also see a video right there on that page where I talk about predictive test-driven development and then walk through the game. All right, and we're back.
Yes.
So what do we want from our database?
I forget what our repository even looks like. Or does it?
You probably want to open up the code, the main section.
Ah, there you go. Thank you. Like, why does it look wrong?
So let's take a look at that class and see what it does for us. So it pretty much allows us to create it with songs, and then add songs, and then get all the songs.
Yeah.
So if we want to um, sort of sketch out what we want from a true repository, um, why don't we maybe in the Jira, let's sketch out what we want the repository to do for us, which might require us to look at sort of how we're currently using that in our application layer. Although I don't think we have much of an application layer. We've got our song service. That's probably what we want to look at.
Got a final holding the repository, a song searcher object.
So right now our song searcher basically, yeah, so if we look at that add song method, so I think this is the crux of some things that caused us a little bit of a problem in the past, that we now I think have to face and figure out what we want to do. We're basically calling add on two different things, so we're trying to keep two different things in sync,
Sync, yeah.
and that's bad. We'd like not to do that.
Right. And
So
they're both in the application layer, right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I was thinking, no, maybe song searcher's domain.
Right, you're right. Sorry, yes.
And
Song
repository is
searcher,
an application.
yeah. So we might need to look at what
This
uh
with the application layer, we're adding a song, we're adding it to the repository, and we're adding it to the searcher because the searcher could be called to search.
well, the searcher is in fact the thing we search against.
Right.
And so do we want I mean, let's take a look at what our searcher does. So it basically builds an index of theme to songs. Right. So when we do look at one of the more interesting methods, like one of the search methods. So skip past the static stuff. Right. So there on 32, that's basically 32 and 39. Those are sort of our main methods. And so at this point, I think we need to decide, do we want to continue having this sort of in-memory cache of all songs, or do we want to push this behavior onto the database?
I mean, the advantage of in cache is it'll be really fast.
Hmm?
If we put in the database, then we don't have to have this duplicate storing in the repository and in the searcher. So does that mean whenever we add to the repository, we have to reload the searchers? I mean, I guess we could reload the searcher's cache.
Well, if we look, go back to the song service, right? So if we look at the add method, the add song method, what in a sense we're doing is we're saving it to our repository and then we're adding it to our cached data, which makes sense, right? We're basically syncing, we're doing putting it in the database and then adding it to our in-memory cache. And then we only look at the in-memory cache when we're doing our searches. But if we go and store this stuff in a database, then we stop doing that. We just add song just becomes delegating it to the repository. So it really depends on what do we want to do. Mike is having a mute problem. Does your headphone not want to unmute you? Do you want to disconnect and come back? All right. While we wait for Mike to come back and solve his headphone problems, this it's funny. It's like this is why I don't like bundling things together, whether it's applications or hardware. I like discrete pieces of things that do exactly what they need to do. How's that? Is that better? Yes, no, still no. Does that mean you're going to need to reboot? Technical problems.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
And I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Took a few reboots there to reboots of the headset and StreamYard.
Yeah.
Let me get back in to sharing screen.
All right. Looks good.
So if we add to the repository, so this part of the model, I don't fully know how it works. Are we immediately persisting at the database or only at a specific time? Or is the repository kind of like an in-memory database?
Well, right now the repository is literally an in-memory database.
Right. And so then the song searcher is an in-memory cache of the
Yes.
repository.
In a sense, it is actually the primary thing we search for.
Right.
So we're always searching against this in-memory song searcher.
Now, from a dependency standpoint, hexagonal, we're not supposed to know the repository exists at the domain level where the song searcher is.
Correct. And we don't.
And we don't. So if we search on the database, would we just really be searching on the repository and then?
Yep.
And then
Yeah. So this. Yeah. So line 23 would basically be, instead of executing that on the song searcher, would be executed on the repository.
And if we did that, it would still be an in memory? Are we loading?
No, we wouldn't load anything to we wouldn't load anything to memory. It would all be, anytime you do a query, it would hit the database.
Oh, every single time. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there could be some caching that the system does itself, but we wouldn't be in charge of implementing that cache.
Gotcha. Does that depend on the ORM we choose to use, or?
Yes.
So what do you think?
Well, I mean, our current song searcher doesn't do anything that we couldn't already do with a database search. because it's pretty much give me songs by the theme, um, or give me the song titles, which is basically give me the songs and then extract the titles, which is what we're doing, right? So literally, the only method that we would need to implement in the database is what line, what by theme is on line 39, because everything else then depends on that.
Right.
So the only thing that might be a little tricky is the fact that you could have one theme or you could have multiple themes, but
Right.
that's not.
How do we implement that in song? Probably as a list.
Well, yeah, in list in song it's a list, but then when we basically index it, we split it out into multiple pieces. So when we index it, we basically, for each theme, we put an entry in the map, so we have duplicates.
Right.
And so what we probably do is,
Where was that? Was that repository?
no, it's the searcher that does that, because the searcher is the one that has all the searching behavior.
Right.
So it's basically that constructor that does it. So in the database, the way you do it is you have another table. So you'd have a
Join.
one-to-many table of song to themes, and then you can search by, then you can retrieve the songs based on the themes.
Right.
So it does mean we throw away our song searcher, which is what it is.
Yep, it is what it is. Are you looking at something?
No, I just wanted to do something. So do we want to do that? And then we probably need to figure out from um, technically from a domain-driven design standpoint, do we care about aggregates? How do we want to do that?
Right.
Because it's really, I think there's just one aggregate.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think when we get farther down the line, do you think it's worth taking a look at the Miro board?
I don't. Actually, yes.
Actually, how about this? How about you pull it in, so that way, because the odds are high, I'm gonna have to do another bio break.
So
That way you can keep talking if I have to peel away. For folks who just joining, I had a medical procedure where I have to go to the restroom quite a lot now, but only for today.
So let's take a look at, this is what we want to look at. Okay. So this is the outcome of our event storming that we did all the way back in episode 1. So go and look at that episode if you want to see how we got here. And so through this process, we ended up figuring out that so these things in this dark yellow are basically our aggregates. And so we've got come on, zoom in. There we go. So we've got song is an aggregate, and then user profile, which we haven't done anything about yet, is a separate aggregate. And then the whole idea of proposals and change proposals and other stuff, these are here. But pretty much for song, we've pretty much said it's the aggregate, and sort of how it's represented in the database. That's an implementation detail.
And it looks like the other Well, as there shouldn't be any dependencies between the aggregates.
Right.
But in the context in which song is currently laid out, there's how we do it seems to not matter, basically. In other words, we can still focus on song independently and not have to think about
Right.
anything else.
Yeah, because all the dependencies are incoming. It doesn't have any outbound dependencies, so so we're fine. So eventually, this idea of a song proposal would have a dependency on song, and so it would have a reference dependency, an ID dependency, because they're separate aggregates. But song does not know about its song proposals, and we don't care about that, at least as far as we've figured out
So far.
from
Yeah,
our
from
event
storming.
storming. So unless
Which
we
was
add new
fun.
features, we're good. So, so then, I think how it's stored in the database, it's we just store song and we
Themes
let.
be its own table.
I mean, we could start with putting it in a single table, and I think we can just make it embedded.
Meaning like a column with
Because really,
multiple.
it makes more sense to go with like it would be an optimization from a database standpoint to have themes as a separate table if we're going to sort of optimize it, basically sort of make theme a more primary object, and basically theme then has references to all the songs, and so we take a theme and it has basically a list of uh, uh, songs that it has references to versus it just being a separate
Well, I mean, our
table.
usage model is mostly give me the songs based on the theme. Or is this premature optimization?
I think it's a bit premature because so it's the difference between, hey, database, find me in the theme table, find me the theme. Okay, I got the theme. Okay, now for this theme, find me all the songs you reference. Okay, and so now it's basically got a bunch of rows, a bunch of IDs to songs, and then it basically then grabs all the songs versus just look through the song table and find the rows where there's a theme in the theme column. Um, for the size of our database, I think it will be not something that is noticeable.
We'll need that, yeah. And would the theme column be like, how we separate the themes? Would you be like a blob or like semicolon separated or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we could do it as have some kind of separator and then search for it that way. There's probably more efficient ways to do that. There is like Postgres has an array column that you can have a bunch of items in.
Oh, that's cool.
I think we'd have to see how that works out. But I think but that really is a database detail implementation that
Right.
we probably don't need to worry about at this point,
Sounds good.
because we've got work to do to basically move around the code uh, so that the repository is doing the searching work and not the song searcher.
So from a unit testing standpoint, will the searching be at the repository layer or
Yes.
and it'll be, but actually in the production version, it'll be in the database. It's where it's happening.
Well, it'll still be the repository implementation. It will just be a different implementation.
Got it.
So we'll
So,
need to extract. We'll need to um, basically move behavior from song searcher to repository, and then extract an interface, and then that interface will already have the in-memory version because we'll refactor to that, and then we'll have the concrete database implementation that will also implement that same repository interface.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So let's switch back to your code.
Give me a second. And actually, I'm probably going to have to peel away again.
All right.
So if this is becoming too frustrating for folks, I totally understand. That screen's available if you want me to put it up, and then I walk away.
Yep.
It's up to you. Okay.
Yep. So what we're going to do it's really not a one-to-many mapping. We're basically saying that song is going to be a table, and it's just themes is going to have uh, multiple things in it. Um, so let's see, how would we do that? So let's bring up my screen. So I don't know if embedded entity is the right thing. Because we're not basically mapping. So song is the entity. We're not saying that there's another entity called theme. We're not raising theme to the level of an entity. It's essentially a value object. So if we look at persisting, what we want, what we're on is query methods. I think it's going to be pretty much something like this. So basically find by theme in, and then it's, no, we want the other way around. We want containing, and I think we could figure this out later. I think we'll assume that there's some mechanism, and we'll just write what method we want, and then that'll be our repository. So we know
Got
what we
it.
can do
So
is possible. We'll optimize later.
gotcha. So we'll basically work on moving Song Searcher into repository.
Yeah.
Have that implementation, which is fake the correct test double term for that?
Yes. Yeah. So it
It'll
would be a
be a
fake.
fake, and we get it all working for that. And then from that point, we then work on, how will we use the Spring relational data stuff?
Right. Right. So let's go back to your code.
Give me a second to get my screen back in sane order again. Here we go.
So let's put down our notes in Jira. So I think the first step is move song searcher searching into song repository. And once that's the case, that means we should be able to then extract
Interface.
extract a proper interface, extract a port interface for song repository. And then implement a JDBC adapter. It's tempting to almost not even bother with Spring Data JDBC and just write SQL, but then there's some boilerplate that we'd have to do. I think those are the steps. So we certainly won't get through all of these today. But so this is a refactoring. We're not changing any external behavior from the point of view of the song service layer. From the point of view of the application layer, nothing is changing.
But we will probably have some internal tests.
Yes. So from the point of view of the song searcher, that goes away. So from the song service inside, stuff will have to change. All right, Suiji, have a good night.
Bye, Suiji.
See you next time. So yeah, so I think let's start moving our song searcher behavior over to the repository.
Should we move this to the top to
yeah. So I think we should sort of do it as in a sense, a parallel change kind of thing. I mean, let's basically copy our song searcher map into song repository. And then let's extract that for loop from line 11 there into a method.
You meant the other shortcut.
Yes.
And now I got to reselect.
So expand select is
probably
more,
better. Yeah,
is
Control
better.
W. I mean, yeah, Control W, right?
Yeah. Because that doesn't.
That was too much.
That was too much. So Control Shift W will back off, but you've moved the cursor to the wrong place.
Making a big rest there, Rizzi. Okay, one more time.
You got to undo because something went wrong.
Yeah, something went horribly wrong.
Yes.
Okay, so in there, Control W, Control W. There we go.
Yeah.
And what did you say?
Let's just call this index because that's really what it's doing.
Index songs, maybe?
Well, songs is the parameter. What else? So what else would it be indexing?
True.
And this is going to be somewhat temporary anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's since we're going to be moving this code to the repository, which doesn't have an array, it has a list. Let's change this index method to turn the array into a list. So on 14.5, let's do that.
I don't know what to call it else for now.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Is there a direct mapping? So like
there, I think so.
To array. No, to list.
Yeah, so we could do a stream to list. I think we can also do arrays.toList. I don't know. Let's try see if there's a method on arrays. So back up.
To here?
Delete. Well, we don't want songs there. We want arrays
Right.
because we're calling a method on arrays.
Five hours sleep.
Yeah. So hit dot and as list. Yes.
As list. And then
then songs. Yeah.
Control done. Hi. That little cheat sheet was off screen. Code completion.
Alt shift.
Control shift enter.
Yep.
Control shift enter on mine. You said alt?
Oh, I don't know what it's command shift enter on Mac. I always forget what that translates to.
Okay. Yeah, control shift enter here too.
Yeah, it's control shift enter. And so then let's change our iteration on 16. Instead of going through songs, go through song list.
Just a direct replace?
Yep.
That okay.
Let's run our test. That should still work.
Should we switch to all or IO free still?
I think
IO
free is fine. Yeah. So now let's push out. Let's introduce parameter on the list. So because now we want song list to be the parameter.
Was it Control Alt P?
Control Alt P, yes.
Like that.
Yep.
Okay.
So now we have a method that takes a list of songs, and so now we can basically copy and paste that into our song repository.
Where do you want it? After create?
Yeah, let's put it after create.
Right here, okay?
Actually, let's put it after the constructor, because we're basically going to merge it into the constructor for now.
Oh, right.
And then let's just leave that there. Let's move now the behavior in Song Searcher. So the searching behavior, the by theme method.
Move or copy?
Actually, let's copy these three methods.
Three meaning which ones?
The ones that are on screen, all three.
Oh, got it. To there.
Yep.
Right after index or somewhere else?
Let's put it at the bottom. Yeah. So there's probably going to be a conflict. That's fine. Let's delete the add on the top, because I don't think we're gonna want that one. The one we just copied. So the last
add. I just copied this one?
No, the one we added, the one we copied.
Oh, this one.
Yes, delete that one.
Got it.
Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to basically make this have the same methods that our searcher does. And now we're going to retarget our tests. So let's find our tests against Song Searcher. You don't have to be, by the way, on the name of the class. You can be anywhere in it.
Oh, really? And just do
and then just do.
Actually, I was doing Control Shift, but what is the?
Yeah, Control Shift T.
Control Shift T.
Yeah.
For tests, right? So we got two.
So let's go to the first one and see what's in there. So that creates it, adds it, does it by theme. Similar for the next one. So what's the difference between these test methods and the other test class?
song theme searcher test. Are they in two different domains? Oh, one's in the adapter.
Oh, one's in the adapter. Okay. Yeah, then we just want the song searcher test. Great. So let's take our song searcher test. Let's
Move it to the top.
let's swap our things and move the song repository to the bottom now because we don't need. We're done copying stuff, so we can now arrange it. All right, so let's take our song searcher test. And let's basically figure out how to change it so that it's talking to the repository instead. So I think we can. Do we have a method on song repository?
Let me make repository a little bit bigger. There's the constructor, but that's private. There's a create, which takes a list of songs, static. Another one, create empty. That's it.
So what is our test actually doing?
The one that's testing against song searcher?
Yeah. So let's create empty and then we'll do an add. So let's just change all of our song searcher there to be song repository.
Like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then fix it.
And just create that method?
No. We want all the code is already in song repository, so we just need to change things. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to delete 16 and 17, and we're going to write it from scratch.
Got it. Okay.
So create a song repository. That's empty. Yep. And then hold on to it. Yep. And then add that song. Is add not public? No, it's not. Let's make it public. There's no reason it shouldn't be public. Yep. And then instead of against song searcher, we'll do it against song repository.
Did you want to rename the method? I mean, the local variable song repository, or is repository good enough?
I kind of like song repository.
Okay, so let's do an Shift F6 on this one.
Yep. So this will fail because our add isn't actually adding it so that it's findable by our by theme. So that's fine. So let's run it, and we expect it to fail because it won't find anything.
Run just this one or the whole?
No, all of them, because nothing else should break. Yep. All right, so let's make it work.
I need to step away again. Sorry.
Okay. Yep. Hello, Mr. Camera. You don't have much to say. So what we're doing here is we are moving behavior from song searcher into our song repository in preparation for our split so that we can then have a database implementation. And this is both a refactoring and a change in behavior. So it's a refactoring from the point of view of our song service. And a diagram might be useful here. So let me go and see if I have a diagram. Yes, in fact, I do. So let's go switch to that. So this is our sort of design for our current application. Right now, our web adapter, which is what we see in the UI, when we want to search for a song, it calls the song service. Song service is what we call our application layer or our use case layer. And currently it is calling then Song Searcher to do the work. What we're going to change it to do is instead, the song service is actually going to duplicate this. So we'll call this song repository. Oops. And this will become basically a database adapter. So for now, song repository will eventually become what we call a port in ports and adapters or hexagonal architecture. And then we will have a concrete implementation out here. So let me draw one of those. And this will be purple. And
I always find these images very helpful.
yeah. That's the app I want to work on next. So I've got two things I want to work on next. One is a very plant UML like way, basically text to diagram, and I'd like a text to diagram for this. So what we want to replace this with is basically song service. We'd like to talk to why even not letting me do that?
Could you move the repository at the other node so that it's across?
I wanted it. Use the arrow because that's actually what I want. That's what I want. The line apparently doesn't have a way to do that, but arrows do. So what we want is, instead of this direction where it's talking to the song searcher that's inside of our domain, we're basically saying we're going to push all of this behavior into the repository. And so we're going to end up with two different implementations of this. One of them is going to be Postgres. But the one we're going to work on, actually, I'll duplicate this, is our fake in-memory implementation. And that code already exists. It currently exists in Song Searcher. So we're basically moving our code from Song Searcher into our fake. And that's how we'll get our fake. And so then Song Searcher will go away. And so basically the line of refactoring is here. So everything sort of this way, nothing changes. Everything on this side of the line, we're basically now retargeting. So we're now having Song Service talk to Song Repository instead of talking to Song Searcher. And this rotation is annoying me. There we go.
We're basically moving to a really thin domain object.
Yes, we are basically moving to almost no domain behavior, which may seem like it then is overkill for hexagonal, but we've got other behavior that we'll be pulling in.
Right. So then later when we do the idea of song proposals and profiles and that sort of stuff, playlists, that'll all be.
Yep. All right, so let's continue.
Okay. So we left off, you were asking me to do something and I forgot because nature.
The test failed, and so what we want to do is
we might make it pass. Right.
We'd like to make it pass. So let's look at our by theme implementation.
So it's just a size thing. might be this guy.
So what we'd like to do is the problem isn't here. The problem is we're not updating our theme to songs map.
Right.
So let's do that. I think we have a way of doing that.
Would that be at the add song? Call the. Oh no, wait a second. That's a song trails.
Yeah. That's right. So we want to add a call here to our index method.
Oh, to index.
Right, because we basically have now added a song and we need to reindex.
Wait a second. What's index taking?
It's taking our songs.
A list of songs.
Yes, which we have.
We do.
Yeah, we're referencing it on line 40. We added the song to songs, and now we want to index that songs, which looks weird because like, why are we passing in songs to a method? Because we haven't finished refactoring that method.
Yes, now I get it why it's looking weird.
So let's see if that made it work. And it did. So let's clean up that index method because that looks really silly. So what we can do is basically remove that parameter.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
Just brute force it like that?
Yep, and then 18 becomes the field.
Songs.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
it doesn't need. Sorry.
And did you fix the caller?
Oh, whoops. Well, actually, I didn't manually do it. That's what I did. So I should change signature?
Yes.
Control F6.
Yep, and then
So
just
we
minus
remove it. Refactor.
Yep, and tell it we know what we're doing. Now you can change that. And now it should still work. All right.
Yeah.
So let's now change our so now our test works. So let's go fix the other test and retarget that test.
Right. So we fixed this one.
Yeah, so you might want to copy the 16, 17. Control D is your friend for duplication in case you want another shortcut.
I know that when I summon it at the front of my, was it short-term memory?
It's not, well, memory. It's all on your long-term memory. It just isn't as accessible as it might be. All right, so this should work.
Yeah.
Assuming we're calling things in the right way. It's very inefficient. Ooh.
Doesn't work.
It was 3.
Create song.
So I think that we've seen this problem before when we did indexing. So let's go and look at our index method. So really what we want to do is we want to we want a new map every time because we basically want to re-index all songs. So what we want to do is clear the map before we index. before we do any indexing.
Oh,
Yep, that should fix it. Yep.
yep.
So again, this is not terribly efficient because every time we add a song, we're re-indexing. But this is a fake implementation, so we don't care. And maybe we will optimize it. Right now, we don't care. All right, so we should probably rename this test class.
Now, there's already a song service?
Well,
No,
this isn't testing song
no,
service.
it's repository. Yeah.
Right.
Do we have a repository class? This class? Is it Control Alt T? No, it'd be create new one. So we just rename this one to repository.
Yep. All right. Let's commit. So all we've done is we've moved the behavior, but we actually haven't moved it. We've merely copied it because we have not yet retargeted our use case layer. So, but now we have basically the behavior that Song Searcher had is now in our repository.
That good?
Yep. All right. So now we need to find usages of Song Searcher by theme method. Actually, before we do that, we copied over the song titles by theme method,
Right.
but that test wasn't using it. So what is using it in our
This
song?
one?
Yeah, what is using it in our Song Searcher? Oh, song search by theme test. I feel like that those test methods should be in our
Repository test class.
repository test. Yeah. So let's go to that test class.
You just move them all over or copy them over?
Let's just scroll through it just to take a look. So this one is doing Song Searcher. Yeah, okay. And the next one is parameterized Song Searcher. Okay. That one's that, sure. And that one's that. Okay. Yeah, I think we can pretty much cut and paste these.
Bottom?
Yep. And let's one by one just change them from Song Searcher to Song Repository.
Let me go steal some potential boilerplate. Search for things does not exist, returns no results. So here we're creating empty and then adding. What does this do?
Yeah, so we we had made it so that we had this is a bit more nullable like than I tend to do. And that's, and I'm wondering if we want to stop doing that,
Yeah, it seems a little bit
because
um,
this is purely for tests.
right.
Um, so let's grab the song part of it, because that's all that matters. We can grab the whole method, and then we can basically uh, copy it into our test class.
I mean, like that.
Yep. And what it's going to return is not a song searcher, but what we want is a song repository.
Change signature or just manually do it?
Just manually do it, because
Okay.
there's nobody's using that one.
Right.
You don't want to rename. You just want to delete and replace.
Oh, right, because it's the right.
And then do whatever we need to do to make that next line work.
I imagine this. I don't know what is song repository. The constructor. It might be a private constructor. Probably.
Yeah, so the constructor is private, so we probably want to call a static method on it instead of.
Yeah, let's go see which ones we get.
Let's just create with a list of songs.
Yeah. We need to wrap this in a list.
Yeah, or you could say create empty and then just do an add. That might be easier.
Yeah, true. Oh, but no longer returning. One paren too many.
Yep. And then let's return it. Yep. And then let's call it from that test above it. Above.
Oh, above
Oh, sorry. No, I thought it was above. It was below.
is below.
My bad.
Yeah. So it's
No, you want to call just the static method.
here.
Yeah. No.
No.
So on line
I'm
46,
actually confused.
just delete song searcher.
46 deletes.
Delete everything from the declaration up to the width. So start at the left edge of 46
Okay.
and delete all the way until you get to the width.
Ah, got it.
And now delete the dot. And now store that in a variable. Now Alt Control M, Alt Control V.
I'll control V. Oh, that's the other one. Alt Control V. Oh, okay, cool.
That's what dot var basically does, is
Right.
introduce variable. And
So
so
in
song
this case,
repository.
yeah. What?
No. Just hit the down arrow a few times.
Yeah.
There you go. And then we're gonna change 48. Yep. And let's see if this works. It should, because that method is just dependent on by theme. Other
I'm
than a
missing
syntax
something.
error.
Where was
So,
that? Ah, there is.
so Control
One.
Shift Enter should have fixed that. Yep. All right, great. So let's just do the same thing for the rest of those tests.
So this is still over here. We haven't do song searcher song.
So let's make this also another local static method.
This guy?
No, there's no point in copying that. It doesn't provide much useful for us.
Okay. Local
Um,
static, sorry.
So let's delete everything but the song factory create song.
Ah. Oh no, wait a second.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yep.
Yep, and then song. And then where's our static method? The one that we just created?
Which one? The
one that we
newish
just
one? This one?
Yes. Let's extract out song from line 40. So we're going to generalize this.
Oh, never mind, I could have done this. To a local var.
Yep. Yep. And then move 40 up.
Meaning like that.
Uh-huh. And now we can extract 40 through 42 into another static method.
42?
40 through 42.
Ah.
And this is create song repository with. Yep. And now we can use that in our test.
Oh, it needs to be a song.
Oh, I thought. No,
Oh,
that's
wrong
not the
test.
test. That's not the test we were. Yeah,
It's
there's
this
that
test.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are going to do like that, but without.
No,
that.
you got it wrong.
I'm sleep deprived and having to go to the restroom all the time. Okay, lay it out on me.
So undo until you get back to working code there. So create song is fine. What you want is on a new line, call the method that we just created.
Oh, okay. Which was called that one.
Yep. And then hold on to that. Just call it song repository.
Whoops.
Yep. And that should also work. Yep. So looks like we skipped a test. Let's go back.
Did we?
Oh no. Okay. I thought we skipped one, but that's fine. Yep. So that's song repository. That's song repository. Then the next one will be let's do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm going to step away again. Sorry.
Okay. All right. I'm going to actually take a proper break. So I'll be back shortly.
Okay, good.
All right, so while I'm waiting for Mike to return, as a reminder, I have a Discord and encourage you to join. If you go to ted.dev at Discord, ted.dev/Discord, you can join the Discord. And as I mentioned, we run a weekly book club on Sundays. We get on Zoom for a couple of hours and talk about a book. We're currently reading The Programmer's Brain. Currently on chapter 8, but as I like to say, there's no bad time to join a book club. It's never too late. It's not like you have to catch up. A book like this, especially, is pretty easy to jump into and just read the current chapter. There's not a huge amount of reference to prior stuff. So if you do want to join the book club and you're not already in it, go ahead and hop on the Discord and send me a direct message, and I'll add you to the private channel. That's my little level of screening to make sure that you're a person and that I know who you are. And I have a few copies left of my TDD game. I'm almost out of copies. I have more on the way being manufactured, but right now I only have a few copies left. So if you want to get your copy, go to tdd.cards, and you can play this TDD game. It's great for teams to talk about and discuss. It's great for folks who are teaching TDD to others or talking about TDD with others. And it's a fun game in its own right. So you can see a video. If you go to tdd.cards, you can see a video where I talk about the predictive test-driven development cycle that underpins the game. And then I actually walk through the game itself, and so you can get an idea of how that works. So that's at tdd.cards. Go ahead and take a look at it. The video there walks through all of that. And that's basically the process that we use here on the stream. So notice before we run a test, when we expect it to fail because we're building new behavior, we do this precise prediction. And that does a lot of really good things about making sure you understand the code and making sure that the test is actually asserting what you want it to assert. And so we're using hexagonal architecture, and so one of the complaints that I read about, and there's some folks where I hope to be able to talk to them at some conference, where people say that hexagonal architecture is overkill, it's over engineering. There's nothing to it that's over engineering. So it's really an interesting discussion because this is it. Like what we have, it's basically just classes where you're very clear on what their roles are. You're very clear on what their job is. So we've seen here in our diagram, which represents the application we're currently working on, there's not a lot of classes. There's not a lot of sort of extra code. I mean, even if I wasn't sort of organizing the code in hexagonal architecture, we'd still have separate classes for this stuff. We still have a separate class for our controller, possibly multiple controllers. We'd still have a separate class for the song service because it's going to be the one that's loading and saving from the database, and we'd still have our domain objects that have the information. What is interesting is I think many people, when they see these diagrams, it's like, oh, that looks so complicated. But then when they look at the code, it's like, oh, that seems straightforward. What I think is really important when you think about these kinds of architectures and these kinds of ways of organizing code is the benefits. So there's not a lot of extra things that you do other than what you might do normally, but what it gets us is our tests are fast. So when we run tests here, right, our use case layer tests, they run fast because everything inside this hexagon is completely free of IO. There's no IO code in here. And so that means when you run your tests, they're going to be fast. And if you're doing TDD, that's what you want. You want your fast running tests. Because if you have to wait 30 seconds, a minute for your test to run, that's too long. You want really fast feedback cycles because you're taking very small steps. You're writing 1 or 2 lines of code at a time. And so this is what we sometimes refer to as subcutaneous because it's just below the UI, right? So this class here represents the UI, but this test is testing just below that. And then we can write tests against the adapter code directly, and we do that. But those are slower tests, so we don't need to run them as often. So you'll notice when we're running our tests here on the stream, we're running basically these IO-free tests. So they're testing the song service, and they're testing any domain layer tests that we have. And so when we're testing our song service and how it works with our fake, this is where test doubles come into play. We're not using mocks. We're not using a mocking framework like Mockito because that slows your tests down. Mockito, in order for it to do its job, has to do a bunch of stuff underneath that basically slows down your tests. And it also tends to make them very hard to read. So instead, we basically hand roll our implementations. And then once we have that working, and so we now have our service talking to the repository, then we can swap out, right? And this is the job of a test double. We can swap out this one for our real thing, which we will certainly not get to today, but we will. Once we finish swapping things out, we will have a proper separate in-memory adapter, right? So this is actually an adapter, and this is a port. Our song repository is a port. So I'll color it. Actually, I want sort of that color. Yeah. So that's. I mean, if you look at the source code, there's not much to hexagonal architecture. So I encourage you to. I've got a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel. One of them talks about hexagonal architecture and basically how it makes your code more testable. So I encourage you all to watch that. All right. Mike, you're muted. There you go.
Just to cause trouble.
Yep. All right, so let's continue retargeting our tests so that instead of talking to our soon-to-be obsolete song searcher, we're talking to the song repository.
Right. So this one, we're going to do the same thing too.
So since this one takes multiple songs, we're going to need to extend our static method that we are referencing on line 70 to have the ability to handle multiple songs. So let's do that refactoring now, and then it'll make it easy to extend that.
So
instead of song, it'll be song ...
do it that way, but as a signature change, right?
Yes. No, you don't. Sorry, you don't need to do a signature change because it is. So you want to change not that one.
Oh, the other side.
It's on the type.
Yeah, of course.
So that's a fully backwards compatible thing from the caller, and now we just need to change our implementation. So what I would recommend is rename the variable from song to songs, and then we'll be able to wrap line 47 with a for loop.
Can you do surround? No.
You can do surround, but not with a postfix.
Wow.
So what you want is Control-Alt-T.
Oh, that was it. Alt-T.
And 4. Sorry, which is number 5. It's number 5 in the list, but it's the 4.
Oh.
It's like, no, not that 4. The number 5.
Number 5, 4, 4.
Which is 4.
Yeah.
And then we just want to loop through the songs.
So this is an old school loop, right?
No, this is new school.
Yep.
This is basically a for each.
Sorry.
Song, and then songs.
Okay.
Yep. And then we can change that. How'd that get to be songs?
Oh, I renamed.
Oh, okay. There we go.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So now everything should still keep working.
Everything should still, that should have been in just a prepare refactoring.
Yep. And we're good.
Yep.
Then we go back to.
And I'm going to ask you to delete line 47.
Yep.
And now we're going to go back to the test that took multiple songs.
This test.
Yep.
Oh, right. So we're going to do, what was that called again? With.
You can pretty much just copy. So scroll up a bit. Yeah, right there. So no, back. If you copy line 72, everything up to the open paren for width. Yep, copy that, and then go to our test, and then delete 82 and replace it. Yep. I'd still put it on your line.
Yeah. Oh, right, because we did ... not list of. Okay, right. And then this will be song repository.
Right. I don't know why there isn't a blank line before 85, but let's put one in. Because that's what we're testing. So that should still work. Yep. And then we can continue doing that.
And the next one.
You pretty much do the same thing as you did.
Same thing, yeah. Actually, might still be in my buffer.
Yeah, it should still be in your buffer.
To
the end of the line.
Yeah, to there. Nope. Oh, right, because I had changed.
So you can do Control Shift V because it's in your buffer. It's
buffer.
just
Yeah. Not the one I wanted. Oh, nope. That one. And I got an extra left paren. Now we're good. Now this goes to repository.
Yep. That should still work.
Because as you said earlier, we're retargeting.
Yep.
And is that the last one? Nope.
I think 109 is the last one.
Yeah, I think so too. And this one is the same model.
Mm-hmm.
That one. Extra paren.
Yep.
Extra line. Oh, we got another test below it.
Oh, there's a test below it. Okay. May as well fix that one while we're here.
Oh, I already ran it. But
all right, that's fine. It's fast. As I was just saying.
Fast tests. Okay, same idea. Actually, the whole line this time.
Yep. Yep.
Wouldn't we have a line here?
Yeah, I think so.
Passed.
All right, so let's commit.
Retargeted. Actually, it's more than retargeted. We copied.
We copied tests for song title search. Or for
we copy or move? I think it's empty.
Oh, we may have moved, yeah. So we could probably delete that now. So let's delete it, and then we'll commit. Yeah.
Copy test. Oh, I forgot the name of that file though.
It's right there.
Oh, wait a second. Yep. Copy test from song search by theme.
Well, we moved.
Moved. Yeah, it was
Copied, but we realized we moved it. Yeah.
Yeah, move test to song.
Not moved, but moved.
I like to be dramatic, like a movie. Okay.
Yes.
Yep. So we did that, and then we retargeted.
Well, I think that's implicit in.
Really? Because of the name of the class?
Yeah.
Test class. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Commit.
It's a small commit, so I'm not worried if we are confused later on. If we ever look back at history, I think we look at the diff and it's obvious.
Yeah.
All right. So we deleted the other test. Let's go into Song Searcher and see who's using it, because probably the only thing that should be using it. Well, the production code still is, because we haven't finished we haven't retargeted the application layer.
Right.
But we shouldn't have any tests that are using it. So the only things that's using it is basically line 14.
What is this one usage? What's filtered out?
I don't know. Click on it.
I'm gonna click on it, see what that says.
That's interesting. Might have had some filter before.
Huh.
But it was the constructor? I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. So now we should be able to swap out repository for Song Searcher. Here's where we're probably going to want to run all of our tests, because there's going to be some dependency injection changes.
Right.
Yeah, so everything works fine now. Let's go swap out.
Just start.
There's only one place.
At the service.
Yep.
So would we just rename this repository or change the class?
Well, no, we already have repository.
Oh.
So we basically want to change the call to Song Searcher. So wherever we call Song Searcher. So let's look for the references to that field.
Okay.
And there it is on line 23.
Oh, 23.
So if you change 23 to call Song Repository, and we run all the tests, that should still all work. We didn't really have to run all the tests, but I thought we might have a dependency change, but actually Song Service already had a dependency on the repository. So
now we got a broken test.
Good. So that means, so we replaced the call to by theme. We didn't replace the thing that loads or causes the repository to do its work. Which is odd. So let's look at the test that actually failed.
Yeah, let me go back to that.
No, that's not it.
Oh.
You'll have to rerun. You might want to close that notification because it's out of date. So let's go look at that test. So does this test still make sense?
Save song loaded on startup. What does that even mean? So on startup, oh, I think it's saying that on startup, whatever songs are in the repository are loaded in.
So let's look at that create method there on 32, because that should have indexed. Okay, so that calls the constructor. So let's look at the constructor. So we never called index from our constructor. Great. Let's call index from our constructor. Now that should all
rerun the test.
Yeah, we can just run the IO free at this point.
Oh, oops. next time. I'll set it over to it now. Passed.
All right. Let's look for usages of Song Searcher. So let's go eliminate. Well, let's go back to let's go back to Song Service. So we should be able to delete all the usages. So let's delete that line and delete 27. And then we can delete the field and then run our tests, and it should still all work. Voila.
Voila. Okay, voila.
So now the only references to Song Searcher are itself, and which means we can delete it.
Interesting how it doesn't. Oh, wait a second. Service still has it as an import.
Oh, there's an import. So just optimize imports.
Does that explain why it wasn't gray? Now it's showing gray.
So now we can do a save delete.
Save delete.
Yep.
And it's gone.
And now we can commit.
Yeah. Removed remaining references to Song Searcher. To, I don't know, deprecated, obsolete, no longer needed.
I think we can just say remove Song Searcher.
Even better.
Since the behavior is now in the repository.
I like that better. Okay, commit.
Yep. All right.
Cool.
So let's go back to Jira and close some of our issues. So, yep.
First one.
Jira 88 is done.
Woohoo. Should we extract port next?
Or
are you fading? Or
well, let's take a look, because I don't think that'll take very long.
Yeah.
It'll mostly be deciding what methods we pull out.
Okay. Repository. And actually, I probably should peel off for another second.
All right. So what we've now done is we move the behavior that was in Song Searcher into our Song repository implementation. And now what we're going to do is we're going to basically extract out a port interface. And so this is, we'll see that the hard part is figuring out what do we expect the repository to support. And what we expect the repository to support is finding songs that match a theme. The thing that basically gave us just the titles for that, which is the test we just updated, that's not something I would necessarily expect the repository to do for us. I mean, we could, but that's sort of a bit of a transformation of information that might not even belong in Song Service at all. So we'd have to see sort of what uses that. If it might just be something that that goes up here. So one of the things about hexagonal architecture reports and adapters is this idea of transforming or translating or converting. I prefer the term transforming things in our domain, so our domain objects, right? So like song, when we want to present it, we may only want to present the title, or maybe we want to present the title and some other parts of it. But sort of this idea of converting it to strings for presentation, that is outside the hexagon, because that's very specific to what is the purpose of this adapter. Because the presentation that we want for this adapter might be different than the presentation we want for some other adapter that we might create. So this one currently is presenting through a controller, but we might want to have an API, a RESTful API. So that might be, and that's why this idea of having the adapters do the transformation is because how you want to transform domain objects is into something presentable depends on how you're presenting it. If we had another thing that was a RESTful API, then it's going to translate it differently because maybe it wants to create JSON. So that might be some other adapter, maybe out here. I'll put it up here for now. So we'll have to see where that goes. All right, let's switch back to your screen when you're ready.
And ready.
So
were you answering Veganaz's question?
That wasn't a question.
Oh, right.
That was just a comment. So let's look at basically what methods we have. Pretty much there are just two methods that are part of what people use Song Repository for, which is, so we've got all songs. Do we use that? Can we take a look at who uses that?
Tests.
That's just using tests. Okay. So I don't think that should necessarily be part of the repository interface. We'll have to see. So it's basically add and who's calling song titles by theme? What non-test code is calling that?
None.
Nothing. That's interesting.
Weird. We don't have anything. Maybe we're using this one at production level.
What are we using in our controller?
Does the service call the controller? I mean, the controllers call the service?
The controller calls the service, so it must call that method. And so therefore,
what?
Can we go open up the controller?
Yeah. Oh, what do we call it? Oh, their homepage controller?
No, it would be song theme searcher. It's going to be adapter in web.
Ah.
Yeah, we do call that. Why wasn't that showing up?
That was weird. Song service.
Yeah, so do a control. No, go back.
Oh, okay.
Do a control B. Okay, and now do a control B from here.
Oh, it looks like it's a test because it's got a.
Oh, so it is. Okay, so it is.
Yeah,
right.
So when you do it, the dark blue cursor.
Yes, it sort of hid the fact that
you don't see that it's white.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good. So then
how the brain it interpolates that to being green underneath the blue.
Yeah.
Wow, fascinating.
So so if we're only using it for tests, we can decide later whether we want to do something about that. But that means really the only thing we need from our interface is add and by theme. Let's rename by theme to be find by theme, because I think we lost a little bit of stuff. When it used to be called Song Searcher, it sort of was nice, Song Searcher by theme, but now let's make it call find by. Yeah,
I like that.
Hit enter. Yep. And now let's extract the interface.
Yeah, there's no shortcut for that one.
Well, there is, but not directly to it, and
Oh,
you don't have the nice and easy Control T that we have on Mac.
gotcha. Oh, so I could have
So
done Control Shift Alt T
yes,
and then gone to extract
and
interface or
then you could
5.
and then 5. Yeah, that's typically what I do. So we want to rename the original class and use the interface where possible. And we want to rename our implementation to
Impl, right?
yes, absolutely. And have the interface be iSong repository.
No.
This should just be like in memory song repository.
Oh, I thought you were going to say fake. Okay.
No, it's not actually a fake. So there's a difference between a fake
Because
and in memory.
is that because this actually could be used if we decide not to use a database?
Yes, because it actually is 100% fully functional.
Right. So it's not a
Because
fake
it served as our implementation for 27 and a half episodes.
right. Oh,
Um,
that's a better name.
yeah. So we want to pull out find by and add. I think that's it.
And everything else will stay in the concrete class, but won't be in
Yes.
the interface.
Right.
Okay.
So let's
Anything
refactor.
else? Okay.
Well,
I can undo.
no, it's fine. It'll put the interface. Actually, the interface might be in the right place. Where did it put it? Did it put it in application? Yes.
Yes.
Let's drag it to port.
Port.
So
Right here.
right there.
Oh, it's empty, but it's there. Got it.
Yeah. So let's go make it not empty. Yep.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and run our tests. I don't expect anything to have changed. Yep. So I think the last thing we need to do is, yeah, so that's our port. We have a concrete implementation. Can we go look at who instantiates in-memory song repository?
Is there a way to go to just instantiate versus all usages?
I think if you go to the constructor, that will help. It's a line. Yeah. So who calls that create method? No, who calls the create method?
I know. I thought that was. I don't know why it jumped. Oh, I know what I did wrong. And the first line is production code, and the bottom two are tests.
So let's go to that. So create empty. So who calls create empty? Is the startup. Okay.
Startup service.
Why is the service doing that? Can we look at that? Oh, that's for create null. Okay. So can we go to the startup code?
Yes. Let me go back to. Well, I can do this.
You can just do Control N.
Control
N.
N.
And just type.
Oh, that way.
Startup.
Got it.
Yep. Right. So this will have to change at some point, but for now this is fine, because we're basically saying when we start up, we're going to use the in-memory version. At some point, when we actually switch over to production usage with a database, then we won't do this anymore. But for now, that's totally fine. So let's run all the tests just to be sure, and I think we're done for the day.
Cool. All passed.
Yep. All right. Is there anything? So we extracted the interface. We can check that one off. So issue 89 is done. And I think we can add one more item. So before we implement the JDBC adapter, we want to make our in-memory version act a little bit more like the real thing. Well, we'll discuss that next time.
Okay.
Basically, there's with the in-memory version, actually, it may not matter in this case because we are not modifying songs just yet. So if we were modifying songs,
Right.
we would have the issue of there would be a difference between the database implementation and the in-memory, because the in-memory would see changes to song that the database would not see. But for now, I don't think there's going to be much to do.
Okay.
So
Commit.
let's commit.
Okay. Boy, we changed a lot.
I think it's just mostly because we extracted the interface.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. Commit.
And you may as well push as well.
Oh. Control-Shift-K. Oh, it's saying commit checks are still in progress.
Yeah, well, whatever. Push anyway.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So that's it for episode 28. So for those of you who placed wagers on whether we'd get to persistence today, you win. Go and collect from your
Well, did we say
from your bookie.
persistence or database?
That's a good question. You'll have to talk to your bookie and figure that out, because that may be ambiguous.
Yeah. Maybe it's dependent on how big the VIG is.
Yes. So next time on our next song themes episode, we will then actually figure out the database table stuff, the adapter, how we want to write it to the database. We'll be creating DTOs for that, and we'll continue test driving that. And I think once we do that, we probably want to redeploy to production, because we'll have to modify production so that there actually is a database there.
Right.
And so we probably won't. I put the probability of us getting to that point in the next episode at pretty much 0, because there's still some work ahead of us. But next time we'll pull in our Postgres and Spring Data dependencies. We'll also pull in Docker Compose and our test containers. So a bunch of that stuff that we haven't had to deal with, we will now have to deal with, and we'll do that next time.
Cool.
So as always, thanks folks for hanging out and chatting and asking questions. We always appreciate that. Join the Discord if you're not already there.
Can I give a pitch?
Yeah, go for it.
So at the volunteer radio station, where I volunteer, is this one, KALX.berkeley.edu. We're doing our annual 9-day fundraiser.
Oh.
So if you want to support local nonprofit community radio, all volunteer run, check us out. Listen to the music if you like it. If you like the station, press the red donate button.
So what's the URL for that?
Oh, kalx.berkeley.edu/donate if you want to go to the donate part. But if you just want to listen to the website or look at the website and stream, really stream. We do have listeners all over the world.
There you go. That's the upside of the web.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So support your local community radio, and otherwise we will see you next time. I will probably have a pairing sorry, a solo stream tomorrow, probably. And then our next pairing stream will likely be sometime next week. We'll figure that out. The Discord, again, is the place to go to find out and to chat about all this stuff. So join us there. Otherwise, we will see you next time. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.